Okay, I guess that's just going to have to work. Sorry if the white balancing / contrast might be a little bit off in this one. I'm kind of fumbling with this new webcam. Anyway, so welcome everyone, Techie101 here, to my Zombie Powder chapter reviews. We got 26 of them left of a 27 chapter series by the great Tite Kubo. Somebody left me a comment last chapter, like, you do know his name's not pronounced Tite Kubo, right? And I think the correct pronunciation is either Taito or Tato. I'm pretty sure it's Taito. And yes, I've known this for a while. But I figured, you know, I'm so used to calling him Tite Kubo, there's no way I can just switch over to the other variation unless I spend like an hour on end just saying Taito instead of Tite, and I'm not going to do that. So, Tite Kubo it is. And besides, that's not even his real name. That's just his pen name. So, yeah, I know, look it up. It's not even his real name. I'm not going to tell you what his real name is because that is what the internet is for, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, so here we go with Zombie Powder Chapter 2. When we last left our two wandering heroes, well, only one of them was wandering. We had Akutabe Gamma, the mysterious man that used a chainsaw sword and had an armored right arm. And we had Elwood, who was a just kind of a hapless young man that lived in this pretty much western-based town, and was basically basically forced into working for this criminal syndicate against his will, which eventually came to a head with the criminal syndicate killing Elwood's sister in cold blood. And since Elwood has no other reason to stay in this town, he kind of journeys on to travel with Gamma to obtain the zombie powder, a mystical powder-like medicine that was able to, well, or at least the legends say, are able to revive the dead. So Elwood figured, hey, got nothing else to do. I'm probably still kind of racked with the emotional trauma of having my sister being shot to death and then collapse on me. So hey, why not go off and travel with this complete stranger for a while, right? So that's where the last chapter left off. It was a 55-page chapter, so I apologize for that long-ass video. But before we continue, I just want to bring something up, and this is something that Tite did in between each chapter, at the beginning of each chapter, and that's what he did, these little character profiles. He called it B-Side, Naked Monkeys 1, and of course, going along with the musical, you know, like the cassette theme, like the B-Side. So this is like the reverse side of the first track, which would be, what was it called? The young boy and the man with the black right arm. So basically, these are just like character profiles here, and I'm probably going to mention these at the beginning of each review very briefly if they express any new information, or just kind of draw to attention how the characters are drawn. And he just draws like little fun facts, like how this character began, you know, what's the most difficult thing to draw about them, little fun facts about the characters. So here we have B-Side Naked Monkeys number 1. It is Akutabe Gamma. We have two little drawings here. One is the one that he appeared in the last chapter with his epic goggles and long, you know, kind of fur coat, silver coat that he's wearing. Odd, since this is in a western town. You'd think he'd be kind of hot, but whatever. And then lower we have kind of like a more casually dressed Gamma, you know, wearing a baseball cap and a t-shirt. So basically all the information we have here is like apparently the hardest part to draw on Gamma was his hair, the way it was originally drawn, which is funny because I think Kubo to this day, whenever he's asked, you know, what's the hardest character to draw in Bleach, he says Ichigo because Ichigo's hair is almost difficult. So I guess whatever main character he chooses, he picks a character that has difficult hair to draw. Maybe because it makes so he can pay more attention to the main character. I don't know. His favorite food is rice, Japanese food, an omelet with fried rice in it. That actually sounds pretty good. He doesn't like parsley, green peas, and pickled red and ginger. So he's not a veggie guy. Not a veggie guy. He likes olive green, which is actually one of my least favorite colors. So screw you, Gamma, on that. His favorite word is death blow, which, funny he didn't say that in the last chapter because, yeah, I'm pretty sure this qualifies. And yeah, so that's basically all the little information just on Gamma that we have there. He's 22 years old. I feel like he threw the 22 in there just because Kubo was around 22, 23. He might have been 22 when he came up with the initial idea for Zombie Powder, but he was 23 in 1999 when it first entered its serialization. All right, so getting on to the actual chapter. This is Chapter 2, entitled Track 2, Baptism by Fire. So chapter starts off with our two characters in a bus en route to an unknown location, and you know, I can totally imagine, like, I've been getting more into westerns just looking through this old series, and you know, I can totally imagine them just like driving down, like riding down this bus, and you know, the western music is playing in the background, like dun 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 dun, you know, whatever. It's just something that I just threw in there just for more ambiance. I like the western idea of the series. It's just something you don't really see that much in recent series. I mean, I'm sure one of you out there can at least quote a series series that takes place in like a Western setting that's probably been released in the last couple of years, but that's nothing that I know of immediately, so this is like the closest thing we got. So, you know, Gamma's finally showing Elwood exactly what one of these Rings of the Dead look like. So last chapter we were told, Rings of the Dead, there's 12 of them apparently in existence. Gamma has one of them, and in order to obtain the zombie powder, you have to gather all 12 together. I don't know if it's like the Dragon Balls, where if you gather all 12 together, like a magical genie or something pops out and gives you the zombie powder, or the powder just appears or manifests, or maybe you have to crush the stones. I don't know. But anyway, Gamma is nonetheless just showing Elwood his Ring of the Dead just to see what it looks like. And for the most part, it looks like a regular ring. You know, it's just a normal like ring like you'd buy in a jewelry store. You know, it has like a gem embedded in it. I don't know if it's like turquoise or something, but it's nothing really ornamental. You think Rings of the Dead, you think they have like skulls or like demons on them, or like some like bound in like the blood red, you know, or something. But no, it looks pretty ornamental, pretty normal actually. And Elwood brings up an interesting question to him. He just asks, Gamma like, oh, okay, so since you're gathering the zombie powder as well, since that's the whole reason you're traveling around here, I was wondering, there must be someone you want to revive too. And Gamma says quite bluntly, actually, no, there's nobody I want to revive. I just want to be immortal. And then we get the title page, and then, you know, we got like a cool pan-out shot of the bus like arriving in this new town. It's August 3rd, the Wistar State, Wettenville. I forgot to mention this last chapter, but Kubo did say what town they were in last chapter, and it was also, I believe, in the Wistar State, like in the southern region. I think it was called Blue Note. This one is Wheatonville or Weltonville or whatever. You know, so I'm assuming it's a decent distance away from the other one if it took like a whole day to get there. Apparently, actually, no, I think the last one took place on August 2nd, so that means all the shit with the gang and the sister happened in like one day. Or, you know, at the very most, maximum, like, close to 2 days, if it's, like, at the very beginning and very end of the days. But, you know, like, Elwood's doing pretty good for, you know, responding to his sister's bloody death. I mean, he seems pretty joyful, honestly. You know, maybe he's just pretty good at, you know, coping with situations, or he's just in dramatic shock, which one of the two. So they arrive in this town here, and Elwood just asks him, like, well, I didn't know that zombie powder could make you immortal. And he's like, yeah, actually, it can. And Gamma kind of goes off on, like, a long spiel here exactly about the logistics of how it works. That zombie powder is not a medicine of revival, it's the medicine of life. I'm like, oh, okay, so that makes sense. So it's not about the powder's main focus reviving the dead, it's just that its main focus is life, and just through that life, it is able to revive the dead. It's not like, so indirectly, it's able to do this. So he goes off on a spiel, like, when used on a living person, his life multiplies over and over, bringing about a fusion reaction, emitting enormous life energy. The life energy that is being emitted begins swirling inside the life shell, and is unending swells to cause the life force limiter to the forcibly collapse from the inside. So there's some of that I didn't understand there, but what I mostly understood was just basically it's like extra lives. Just think of the zombie powder as extra lives. You know, it's like an infinite life cheat in Contra. You know, it's like down A B start. You know, start select or whatever the Contra code was, and just, you know, it's like a Phoenix down or something. Just bling, oh, I'm alive, I'm invincible now. You know, I got a game genie plugged into my life. Okay, so Elwood is just completely confused by it. One thing I want to bring up here is that when Gamma just basically says, I want to become immortal, I don't buy that. And what I mean by that I don't buy that is that's a very selfish way to present your main protagonist in a series. That the whole point of his journey, the whole point, everything that's brought him up to this point is just to become immortal. I mean, we don't know why he wants to become immortal. Maybe he wants to become immortal for some good reasons, but just making out your character to basically become immortal as his main focus, I'm calling bullshit right here. Or maybe not maybe just bullshit on the sense of I just want to become immortal just because I want to become immortal. If that's his only reason, then the reasoning behind it has to be great, if that is his true point. But I'm just bringing that up. I've seen a lot of manga series. The idea of just like, for example, that's like Luffy just being like, I want to be why do you want to be? Why are you a pirate, Luffy? Oh, I want to be a pirate to kill every other pirate. You know, that wouldn't be a very apt reasoning for your character to you know, like drive to become stronger and better just to kill everybody. You know. All right, so you know, Elwood's just like, yeah, okay, Toa, I understand that, and Gamma just goes into a they go into a hotel, and he's just like, yeah, I know you don't understand, but it's cool, you don't need to. So, you know, so Gamma goes up to this hotel clerk, and he's like, okay, I want, you know, 2 rooms for the night, whatever. So he gives, you know, Elwood the room key, and he says, I need you to go up to the room key, put your shit in there, and just stay out of the way, just hang out, just do whatever, just, you know, just don't cause any shit. I have someplace I need to go. And Elwood kind of starts like the typical, like a 5-year-old child mentality. He's just like, wait, I want to go too, Gamma, and don't call me a kid. I'm going whether you tell me or not. So, you know, he just ends up following Gamma to this record store. It's called Fine Records fine music, classics. It's called Class 6. I get it, Class 6. That's clever, Kubo. That's really clever. So they go into this CD store. I thought it was a record store, CD store. So they have CDs in this universe. So now we're getting more into, like, I don't want to say steampunk, because steampunk is more like, you know, like with the, we haven't really seen any advanced machinery other than like cars and shit, but it's like a Western setting, but they still have, you know, technology like CDs, so whatever, you know, I guess Kubo had to throw it in there just because he loves music. So they go into this record store, and they go in, and like immediately after walking in, there's two guys that are just kind of browsing the shelves that just kind of look up, and they look like very, like kind of like thuggy guys, like you don't want to fuck with these people, like they have some sinister motives going on here. So, you know, Gamma and Elwood just kind of ignore them, and they walk into the back of the store, and Gamma talks to one of the clerks there, and he pulls out a CD. And the CD says Gamma A on it as like the title of the band or the title of the CD. And Gamma's like, yeah, I'd like to listen to this, please, if I may. And the clerk looks at him, and he like automatically like recognizes Gamma. He's just like, oh, it's you. All right, well, come on back here. And on the way though, the clerk notices that Elwood's kind of following him, and he just like, hey, yeah, that kid wasn't part of our agreement. Like, you're the only one that's part of our deal. You know that, right? And Gamma's like, oh, yeah, I know I am. So he turns to Elwood, and he's just like, okay, Elwood, look, you need to stay out here. I need to go deal with some business in the back. And Elwood, once again, is just with the 5-year-old mentality. He's like, I want to come with you too, Gamma. I want to follow you around. And Gamma's just like, no. This time, you stay the fuck here. You do not follow me. You hear me? Or I will hurt you. He gives him the stare of contempt. Like, no, I'm not screwing with you here. You stay here. This is important business. So Elwood just kind of like is shocked. He's like, okay, I don't want to piss off the angry giant there. So, you know, so he stays behind, and Gamma goes in the back room. So, meanwhile, while this is going on, Elwood kind of storms out of the store, kind of like, you know, just a pissy, like, hot-headed mood. Like, I can't believe he would do that. You know, I've known this guy for a whole day. Like, we're supposed to be best friends, apparently. So, he walks out of the store, and he notices the two guys from earlier, that the kind of that were giving them like the looks, like when he walked in the store. And this one guy, he's just kind of collapsed in pain, and this other, the bigger guy, is just like, oh man, you know, are you all right, man? Are you okay? And so he says, you know, can you help us, kid? You know, this guy's collapsed. He's in pain. I need to take him to the hospital. Could you help me to their bikes? They're in the back of the store. So Elwood, of course, is just like, yeah, okay, sure, I'll help you. So, you know, he helps him up, and they start pulling him away. But the guy is, like, laughing, like, smiling. Like, the guy that's supposed to be injured is, like, smiling and, like, maniacally, like, hey, he fucking fell for it. Which, you know, I'll get my opinion on that in a second. But anyway, so then we cut to the back room of the record store, or the CD store, where Gamma is like lounging in this chair, and he has headphones on, and he's apparently talking to somebody. I don't know if it's like a hidden microphone or a hidden walkie-talkie or whatever, but he's talking to somebody clearly. And he says, okay, so right now, you know, I'm in this town right now, and I'm going to be in a town called Griggeller from the 3rd to the 5th of August. So, you know, if you can make it, we'll make up there. And, you know, he's just like making plans to meet a certain individual. And, you know, he takes off the headphones. He's just like, okay, I'm done. I'm good. So he's about to walk out, and he asks about his fee for doing, you know, I guess I don't know, like the collect call he just made or whatever. I'm not sure what that was. And the clerk is just like, don't worry, your fee's already been paid by your partner. So he's like, oh, okay, that's cool, whatever. So he walks out, and he wants to see, he's like, okay, Elwood, we can leave now. And of course, Elwood is gone. So he goes, you know, he goes off to try, I guess, to try to find him. Meanwhile, we cut back to Elwood. He's still helping the other guy, you know, carry this, you know, this sick guy, you know, off to the hospital to their bikes or whatever. So, but as soon as they get behind the store where there's like an empty alleyway where nobody's like, no witnesses here, the sick guy, oh my god, it was a setup, it was an ambush, pulls out a freaking gun and points it directly at Elwood's head. I can imagine that's going to happen a lot in this series. Elwood getting guns pointed at him. I can just see that happening. He just seems like I mean, I know the guy is pretty adept with throwing knives, but just by his appearance, he looks kind of weak. He looks like the kind of guy that you can just be pushing, you can just push around just for the fun of it. So I have the feeling like he's, like, I called him Hanataro of Zombie Powder in the last chapter. So far, he's not disappointing in the whole getting kidnapped part. So, you know, guy points the revolver right in his freaking head, and he's just like, you know, this gun is loaded, don't freaking move. You know, now, we did this because we saw you traveling with Gamma, and, you know, we don't give a shit about you. We don't even know who the hell you are. We care because you were traveling with Akutami Gamma, this really notorious killer, and, you know, he has such a high price on his head, 960 million, there's no way we could fight that guy off normally. I mean, we've heard horror stories of this guy. Like, did you hear? Like, in this other town, he apparently, like, stomped this guy into the dirt with a chainsaw sword. I mean, blocked a tank mortar or a bazooka blast, like, we can't take that shit with these, like, freaking 36 caliber, right? I mean, 36, specials or whatever. So, I need to learn more about guns. I don't know a lot about guns, and I'm making all the references to guns and shit. I need to brush up on the gun knowledge before I continue these chapter reviews, so I can at least get my eyes on it. I'm not really a gun guy. My dad is. He tells him, like, okay, so we're just basically gonna hold you hostage because you were with Gamma, and we're just gonna get the money or get his bounty in that way. And that's just how things work in this world. It's kind of underhanded, but that's just kind of the world is right now. It's very underhanded. So they're right about to, I guess, do whatever they're doing, but all of a sudden, as predictability from the last chapter, all of a sudden this massive chainsaw sword just comes flying out of the freaking sky, and like, the guy's accuracy has to be so freaking precise because it's right between Elwood and this guy holding a gun to his head, and just, whoom, it manages to cut the revolver's barrel clean in half, or, like, the whole gun, like, clean in half, and, sever the guy, like cut the guy's arm, as well as, separate him from Elwood, and Elwood just kind of like, holy shit, okay, whatever, and, so Gamma's, like, I guess on a roof somewhere, and he stomps on the ground, like freaking Batman or some shit, and he grabs up his chainsaw sword, and he's just like, I don't mean to be mean, but let me join into the fun here, too. So, now everyone's like, oh, man, you're Akutami Gamma, you're bringing it on, right? So I guess the other guy, like the guy that had his, like, arm cut and, like, the gun cut in half, I guess he has another gun because you could see him pulling something out. But Gamma don't even, he doesn't even give the same thing he had with King Cuero, because at least King Cuero had a bounty. It was a pissy bounty. It was like 8,000 nit or whatever, but it was still something to go off of. This dude, he has no, like, this guy's just like a common thug. Like, you could just totally imagine this guy is the kind of guy that just hangs out with his friends all day, just like basically like nowadays, like smoking like pot and just playing Xbox or whatever, and just being like, he's like, yeah, man, we should totally go rob the liquor store or whatever. Yeah, man, we should totally do it. Like, no plan whatsoever. They just decided to grab freaking Elwood and just do this just because the opportunity presented himself. So Gamma don't even care about these guys. One swing of his chainsaw, I don't even think he revved the freaking motor up. He just whoosh. I'm pretty sure. Okay, I guess he had to rev the motor up in order to cut him that deeply. But he just cuts the guy square in half. He doesn't even bother there. So this guy gets cut in half, just gets shot down. And the other guy, he looks over and he's like, okay, so you're next, and the guy's like, he's holding Elwood, and he's just like, oh, don't even try. If you move, I'm going to kill your partner. So Gamma's like, oh, okay, I won't move. Just tosses the chainsaw blade using, like a freaking Kusanagi, like the Kusanagi, the chain with the sickle at the end. This is basically the chainsaw using the chain with the sword, flings it at the guy, stabs him in the arm, slices his arm off, and I don't know if it slices his arm clean off, but he, freaking chainsaw sword in his shoulder. So that knocks him down. He's like, I'm sorry, you told me not to move, so you didn't tell me anything about chucking my chainsaw sword at you. So he goes down. He's still alive. He's still alive. Gamma lets that guy get away, but, I mean, his arm is, like, holding on by a thread. Like, you can kind of see him walking away like his arm's, like, ready to freaking just fall off. So, yeah, so after this whole shenanigans, once again, Elwood is really not that shocked by all the shit that just went down, how he was kidnapped, almost killed by these two random guys, and then Gamma shows up and then just viciously bisects the freaking dude in half, and then chucks a chainsaw sword in his other guy's arm. Elwood's pretty cool with that so far, and and Gamma's just standing there. They just exchange like a glance, and you can tell the look on Gamma's face in this panel is just like, dude, the fuck did I told you to do? I told you just to stay in the damn store, right? Well, anyway, Elwood just acts like, okay, that was nothing, though. Those guys were just, they were so insignificant. Like, see how fast you finished those guys off. They weren't any threat. I knowed you'd save me. Here's the thing, though, Gamma brings up. He's just like, okay, look, Elwood, listen. You have to understand this because apparently you're not getting it. There is a multi-million, like, I am the most wanted criminal in the freaking continent, apparently. Like, S0 class criminal. That's, like, the most wanted criminal. I don't know if there's, like, other S0 class criminals out there, but if there are, they're probably very few and far between, and Gamma is one of them. So, he's, like, he's, like, sitting Elwood down like a child, basically, and he's just telling him, listen, if you keep traveling with me, shit like this is going to keep happening, and sometimes I might not always be around to help you. I'm always gaining more grudges, and just the mention of my name was enough to do that, because, he just walked into a freaking CD store. These guys didn't even talk to him. They just recognized who he was, and this is where this situation came from, just by somebody recognizes what his face looks like. So Elwood it's just like, you know, like, I mean, Gamma's just telling him, just like, listen, your life's going to be targeted too. And, you know, this time we got lucky. This time I was able to save you. But, you know, it might not always be like this. So in exchange, I guess Gamma just kind of gives him like a second opportunity. He's just like, okay, listen, the first time, you know, it was right after your sister died. You were dealing with a lot of shit. So I'm going to give you a second chance right now just to give up and go back home. I don't know if he means like he's going to like go back home with him and make sure he gets home safe, or he's just giving him the option just to leave. But Gamma just like, okay, second chance, you can leave if you want now that you know the score of what's going on, right? So Elwood is pretty resolved in this, though. He's pretty much like, I'm just still going to travel with you. I'm still resolved. And he tosses Gamma these two guys' wallets, and he's just like, yeah, they put me through so much trouble, but I managed to get their 2 wallets out of the ordeal. And he's like, see, I can pull my own weight. I can be useful to you. And he's like, I'm not quitting this journey. I'm gonna find the zombie powder. I'm gonna revive my sister. And Gamma seems pretty, pretty interested in this. I'm assuming it's just because they do need to get money. Like that thug said, like, this is the world we live in right now. It's like, it's full of dishonest people, and you basically have to be dishonest, and you have to commit crimes in order to get ahead. And, you know, the fact remains, though, they still need money. I mean, I can't imagine Gamma being that rich, you know, like being a drifter, essentially, and being hunted day and night. I can't imagine him having that much money. So whatever money they do get would probably have to come from Elwood, like pickpocketing other dudes. So, you know, Gamma just looks at him and just like, oh, okay, I guess you're pretty useful after all, right? And then Gamma, it's funny because at the last second he's just like, yeah, that's pretty cool. You could give me my wallet you took too. And of course, Elwood, he also pickpocketed Gamma at some point. I don't know why he did that. If he was so adamant, like, I'm not quitting this journey, therefore we need to work together. By the way, I just stole your money. you know, like that doesn't make any sense. But I don't know if he was just doing that just to be funny, just to prove that he could do it. But, you know, Gamma noticed, and he's like, okay, that's cute. Now give it back. You know, whatever. So, you know, so Elwood gives him back his wallet, and that's the end of the chapter. So that's the end of chapter 2 of Zombie Powder. This one's only about 22 minutes long. After this, the chapters are going to be becoming much more like a standard, like 18, 20 page release, like your standard Shonen Jump release, like the standard Bleach, you know, weekly releases are. So from this moment out, it shouldn't be that much long of a video. But in this chapter, you know, not really a lot happened except for the whole mention of Gamma having an apparent partner, which I am dead to rights. It's probably going to be a guy that's on the cover page of the manga, because this manga clearly has like a wider range of cast of characters that Kubo designed for it, and we only have our 2 main characters so far. So I'm pretty sure in the next chapter, or maybe not in the next chapter, but maybe in the next couple chapters, we're gonna find out what this partner is. Like he said, like, okay, it's the 3rd now, and I'm gonna be in this place called Grinstellar until I think he said until the hold on, let me pull up what he said here. Oh, by the way, I went to a bookstore last night. I went to the bookstore, the only bookstore that's really around our house, and I wanted to see, you know, if they had Zombie Powder the manga, so I could just, you know, pick it up and I could just, you know, show it to you. I don't have to read this on the website. Unfortunately, though, they don't have it. They only had where is it? They only had Bleach, the stuff from Tite Kubo. They didn't have anything from Zombie Powder, so that kind of sucks. I always thought they did, so I drove all the way down there for nothing. But, you know, that's cool. I got a Full Metal Alchemist compendium, so that wasn't that bad. Alright, so, okay, he said he'll be in a town called Gridgeller from the 3rd to the 5th. Now, it's already the 3rd. No, I think it's the 2nd in this one, I'm pretty sure. Let me go back to the beginning of the chapter just to make sure here. I want to get my facts straight. Okay, and it is... it is the 3rd. Okay, so whatever this Gridgeller place is, I'm assuming they can get there in just one day, or they're heading there now, or whichever. Maybe this is like an in-between town or whatever. So, like, I'm really looking forward to this guy's partner. Also, you know, what do you think about Elwood? You know, I mean, his resolve to stay with Gamma, because Gamma makes a point here. You know, Elwood is kind of a wimp when it comes to full-on-full combat, except with the knives. But even with the knives, like last time, that didn't really help him out too much. It didn't help him out that much here. You know, so you know, I hope Elwood becomes a little bit stronger, really, because, you know, you can't have a protagonist. You can't have a main... That was my cell phone. You can't have a main protagonist that just, you know, whines like a little bitch and every time he gets attacked by an enemy, and then, you know, Gamma just shows up and just saves his ass every time. We can't have that. So I'm hoping that, you know, eventually Elwood will realize, like, I have to start pulling my weight. I have to start standing on my own 2 feet and fight my own battles, because Gamma's not always going to be around to save me. You know, so I really... It leaves out... I'm not criticizing it that much, because it's only chapter 2, so it's just setting up Elwood's character as it is now and how his life has to change if he wants to really do this, because this isn't something you could just just do haphazardly. You could just leave your home and just, go on this epic adventure. You need to get stronger. You kind of need to leave your own, your own morals, your own things behind. You need to just, abandon them, and you need to get a little bit stronger, if you want to go on this journey. So anyway, that was Zombie Powder Chapter 2. Hope you enjoyed. What are your thoughts? Post them below. Yeah, so hope you enjoyed. Techie 101 signing out. See you guys.